To add a central office in OZmap, you need to click on the first icon on the left side, go to Network Expansion, and select the last option, Add CO. Then, choose on the map where it will be placed. In the new window, you need to fill in some details such as the name of the CO, which the system will already suggest based on the type prefix. You also need to select the type and level, add a tag if you want, set the deployment status, which can be in project, not deployed, deployed, or certified, and add a note if necessary. After that, click Confirm, and the CO will already appear on the map. When you open the CO, it will be blank. If you click on the arrow next to it, you'll see all the elements inside this CO. On the right side panel, only the elements you select to work with at that moment will appear. The first step is to add a shelf inside this CO. To do that, click on New Shelf and fill in the type, name, optionally rack units, a tag, and a label. Save it, and the shelf will appear on the side panel. The next step is to add an OLT inside the shelf. You can click on New Equipment, or, since the shelf is already open in the Edit menu, you can also use the button at the top. Select the equipment type, in this case an OLT, and fill in the details, type of OLT, name, and label. These types are customizable in your OZmap settings. For example, I'll choose an OLT with 1 slot and 4 PON ports. At the bottom, you can also add physical information about the equipment, which is useful if you use integration. Save it, and the OLT will appear inside the shelf and also on the side panel. Now, let's add an ODF. Still in the shelf, click New Equipment, choose ODF, select a 12-port ODF, give it a name like ODF1, and save. The ODF and OLT will now be inside the shelf. You can expand them to see their details. You can also edit the elements directly. On the OLT, you can add more slots and configure the ports. On the ODF, you can add trays, change their order, edit their information, and rename the sides. For example, set side A as input and side B as output. Now let's add a cable. On the left panel, go to Network Expansion and click Add Cable. Draw the cable from the OLT to the box. In the Settings window, fill in the cable type. For example, a loose tube with 12 fibers, the level, a tag if you want, and the deployment status. Click Generate, and when you open the CO again, the cable will already be inside. To use it for connections, click on Use Cable. Now we can start making connections. Let's begin by connecting the OLT to the ODF. To make it easier, you can hide the cables and keep the screen cleaner. There are 2 ways to connect. Manually, by clicking the plus icon on each port, for example, connecting port 1 of slot 1 of OLT1 to port 1 of tray 1 of OLT21 on the ODF, and the information will appear automatically. The other way is using multiple connections. Select the first and last ports on the OLT, then the first port on the ODF, and all connections will be created automatically. After connecting the OLT to the ODF, you can hide the OLT and use the cable to connect the ODF output side to the cable, also with multiple connections. If you need to undo a connection, just click on the port and select Disconnect. Or use the Multiple Disconnection option in the top menu. A useful tip is to use tags to identify each port. For example, right-click on a port, go to Properties, and fill in the tag field. You can enter something like Downtown Area. Then it will show that OLT1, Slot 1, Port 1 is tagged as Downtown Area. Keep in mind that the way you close the CO is the way it will look when you open it again. If you leave the OLT and ODF expanded, they'll be expanded the next time as well. Inside the CO, you can also generate a logical diagram, which shows all connected elements of your network. You can measure OTDR, light ports, and even generate logical diagrams for individual ports. And on the right side panel, you'll find more features. With the briefcase icon, you can add a pendency linked to the CO. The button next to it allows you to add and view posts. And the clock icon lets you check the update history, such as name or type changes.